So, meine lieben Freunde, damit ein herzliches Willkommen zurück zu einem neuen Live-Stream. Ja, ich hoffe, es geht euch gut soweit. Ich möchte erstmal mal sagen, es tut mir sehr leid, dass gestern, wenn ihr noch im Stream dabei gewesen seid, der so abrupt geendet ist. Das Spiel ist halt abgestürzt. Und das Internet hat wohl auch irgendwann kurze Zeit danach angefangen, ein bisschen abzukacken, da was das angeht. Deswegen habe ich auch nicht irgendwie nochmal einen neuen Stream gestartet gehabt und so alles. Wäre, glaube ich, jetzt auch nicht mehr so spannend gewesen. Es war ja nicht viel los gewesen. Und so, ne? Habe ich ja gestern hier noch im Live-Chat geschrieben und dann auch im Discord gepostet. Aber das sollte heute hoffentlich alles funktionieren. Ich dauert das Spiel ist ja so oder so nicht allzu lang. Wird sich zeigen. Genau, und ich hoffe natürlich, dass ihr die Review oder dass euch die Review zu dem Fans Toys Ultra Magnus gefallen hat. Habe ich heute doch noch spontan gepostet, weil ich das dann doch heute noch fertig bekommen habe und so. Und jo, das ist eigentlich so ziemlich alles. Midnight Cat, du bist natürlich schon da. Dich habe ich nicht übersehen. Wollte das nochmal vorweg gesagt haben. Schön, dass du da bist. Habe ich vorhin Leistung verpasst? Ach, alles gut. Alles easy, paletti, squeezy und so. Und all dem ganzen Dreh. Das ist ja nicht schlimm. Na, zur Not kannst du ihn dann noch nachgucken, wenn du magst. Der Stissel ist natürlich auch da. Moin. Ich hoffe, ich habe das gut dargestellt. Ja. Wir spielen heute tatsächlich. Ist dir nichts Witziges passiert? Ja, sag ich doch. Genau. Wir spielen heute, also steht auch da oben, You are playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Ist ein Spiel, was, keine Ahnung, das ist auch schon vor etlichen Jahren erschienen tatsächlich. Das ist so eine Art over the top, du hast multiple Enden, Rätsel zu lösendes Ding irgendwie. Also so eine Art Loop-Geschichte mehr oder minder, so Bandy auf Drogen, könnte man sagen. Von dem, was ich mitbekommen habe. Ich habe das einmal bei einem YouTuber oder Streamer, den Bacon Zack, habe ich das einmal gesehen. Aber das ist, wie gesagt, etliche Jahre her und sowas alles. Und das ist jetzt diese Ultra Deluxe Edition. Die gab es jetzt irgendwie letztes Jahr noch im PlayStation Plus Ding. So, wenn du PlayStation Plus hast, konntest du das da kostenlos holen. Bei den monatlichen Spielen. Ich dachte mal, komm, habe ich mal gehört, das soll gut sein. Und ich fand das eigentlich ganz lustig. Woran ich mich doch daran so erinnere, sprechen ist heute anstrengend. Woran ich mich da so noch erinnere, was ich da bei Bacon gesehen habe. Ja, das soll wohl ganz lustig sein. Ich habe es jetzt extra auf Englisch alles gemacht, weil ich möchte es ehrlich gesagt schon gerne im Originalton spielen. Ich denke mal, das ist nochmal ultra lustig. Ich weiß gar nicht mal, ob das überhaupt einen deutschen Ton hat, aber es hatte deutsche Untertitel und sowas alles. Deswegen gehe ich mal davon aus. Ich wusste gar nicht, dass dein echter Name Stanley ist. Ja, ja. Ja, ja. Siehst du, Mama? Dafür, dass wir uns so viele Jahre kennen, ne? Neue Geheimnisse offenbaren sich. Ultra Deluxe. Ja, Ultra Deluxe. Das ist richtig krass. Es hieß vorher nur Stanley Parable. Jetzt heißt es Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Soll wohl sehr, sehr krass erweitert worden sein. Von dem, was ich jetzt gehört habe. So extra viel Scheiß, neue Enden und... Hast du nicht. Also ich habe das Spiel tatsächlich noch nie gespielt. Ich habe es, wie gesagt, vor etlichen Jahren mal gesehen. Ich weiß gar nicht, ob das Spiel irgendwann mal so selber sagt, guck mal, weißt du doch, wo es da und da rausgekommen ist und sowas, das weiß ich nicht, weil ich habe jetzt auch nicht genau den Dings. Schön, dass dein echter Name jetzt auch an die Öffentlichkeit geleakt wurde. Ja, ja. Ich warte auf den Pizzalieferanten schon mal, ne? Also sagt du Bescheid, wenn er ungefähr da ist. Kostenlose Pizza nehme ich gerne von euch. Nein. Jo. Ich würde mal sagen, wir starten noch rein. Übrigens auch eine kleine Sache, die diese Loop-Geschichte auch gut darstellt. Guckt mal auf den Computer da unten. Infinite! Es ist der Infinite Computer. Das finde ich super geil. So, ich hab ja schon ein bisschen die Einstellungen angepasst, so wegen Audio und so, dass es ein bisschen runtergedreht ist, damit wir hier ordentlich was haben. Und dann ist mir das aufgefallen, so, ach, gucke mal. Das sieht man sieht auch wirklich bei dem ganz kleinen im Bildschirm, im Bildschirm, im Bildschirm, im Bildschirm. Das ist immer, sich immer weiter bewegt. Das ist so cool. Auto Deluxe Rollmenü bitte. Scheiße, kriegst du den Karton, wird leer geliefert, ja. Merke ich schon. So, begin the game. The end is never, the end is never, the end is never.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Könnte ich mir auch vorstellen, dass es so, das wäre Chrissys Job.
Very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Was ist, wenn ich jetzt hier stehen bleibe? Ja, den Narrator, den werden wir oft hören. Ich dachte, ich schreibe schon langsam auf der Tastatur. Ja, das habe ich früher auch, aber wenn du es öfter machst, dann schreib man schnell. Könnte wirklich ich sein. Ich arbeite erst, wenn mir einer was gibt. Naja. Dann spielen wir jetzt hier die Verkörperung von Chrissy. Hä? Nee, ist doch nicht. Ich wollte schon sagen, es ist derselbe Sound von Bendy. Oh. Er slidet. Er slidet ganz leicht. Hui, 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 und ich habe keinen Körper. Hui. Boah, der will mich mal schreiben, bin ich. Fauler. Ja. Geht auch nicht auf.
Co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, okay. Steuerung ist sehr simpel.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Who farted it? Oh. Hä? Ich schreibe. Ganz wichtig. Ja, man kann hier durch wirklich... Es soll wohl echt ein lustiges Ding sein. Bin mal sehr gespannt. Aber warum habe ich 1:1 so auf der Tastatur geschrieben? Ja. Draußen ist es weiß. Okay, hier kommt ein Tastatursound bei dem Bild, das ist bestimmt normal. Kann man noch nicht ranzoomen oder so, ne? Ach, haben wir ausgeschaltet, okay. Ja. Was steht hier? Be my Valentine. Draußen ist es weiß, meine Seele ist schwarz, perfekte Balance, so wie es sein sollte. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Aber ich will, dass die Story weitergeht. Oh. Oh. Tachita. Ich muss mir gerade so vorstellen, man geht da so rum und dann batsch, 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 batsch. Du klatscht überall rauf, weil dir langweilig ist. Äh. Ich muss mal die Kamera. Der Kamerasensitivität. Machen wir mal auf 5. Ah, schon viel besser. Das war doch ein bisschen gerade schnell. Ich will immer für schnelle Kamera, aber hier bietet sich das nicht so an.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
He entered the door on his left. Warte mal, was passiert, wenn ich Alt und F4 gleichzeitig drücke? Warum hat sich das jetzt geschlossen? Ja, wofür ist der Knopf gut? Boom! Ich gehe aber rechts.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Keine einzige Tür geht auf. Ich bin mal gespannt, ob das jetzt ein Ende freigeschaltet hat oder so, oder generell jetzt so zu einem Ende führt.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Dass ja alles Tastaturen-Sounds hat, ist komisch.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Das ist worth it, ey. Also ganz ehrlich, das ist eigentlich super entspannt. Ich meine, es ist natürlich jetzt schon...
Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Oh, we know the burn heel. Er hat gerade Chrissy gefrontet. Nein, aber ganz ehrlich, ich würde mich hier einfach legit hinsetzen, entspannen und die Ruhe
Stanley
genießen.
sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Okay. Aber, wie gesagt, würde ich echt machen. So einfach hier schon am Fenster sitzen, aufmachen, frische Luft reinlassen, genießen, schöne Ruhe. Ey, ja, das ist gut. Das ist schon gut. Und dann wäre ich wahrscheinlich hier an der Kante hängen geblieben und hätte mich auf die Fresse gelegt. Hätte mir nichts ausgemacht, weil hätte eh keiner gesehen. Hier sind auch nirgendwo Kameras.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Hä? Left? Wo? Ist ja alle rechts. Ach so. First open door on the right. Nö.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ja, okay. Ich spiele gerade Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 nochmal und die Patches haben es nur noch schlimmer gemacht. Ja, funktioniert, aber er kam die ganze Zeit und auch nur einen Nano mitblutet. Ja, das habe ich auch. Ich hoffe, dass sie das so mit dem Konsolen-Release auch endlich fixen. Gerade auch dieser verdammte Weinboom-Sound, wenn ein neues Objective kommt, ey. Alter Verwalter. Das hört sich ja schon schlimm an, wenn ich es in Videos höre. Briefs in. Es reicht, wenn ich schon über mich nichts stolpern kann. Danke. Ja. Huh. Do not jump from the cargo lift while its motion will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift $1,000. Penalty for jumping of the $5,000. Das heißt, wenn ich jetzt springe, habe ich das erste Ende wahrscheinlich.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Du Flip! So sieht übrigens eine Behindertenwerkstatt aus. Echt? Dafür ist es ja ganz zu Hause. Ach, guck mal, das Auto da unten. Holz. Raufasertapete. Okay, die Atmosphäre hat sich komplett geändert kurz.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Die rote oder die blaue Pille? Okay, das ist gut. Ich habe mit Headset gespielt und mit jedem 90 habe ich einen Jumpscare reingedrückt bekommen. Und ja. Lila! Ich mag zwar die Farbe Rot, aber ich gehe durch Blau. Rein aus Prinzip.
Perhaps you misunderstood.
Was?
Stanley walked through the red door.
Nö. Blau.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Sogar den Untertitel Rot. Geil.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Ah, das sind bestimmt irgendwie ganzen User. Ne? How long does it take you to get to complete against others to improve your Stanley Parable career? Why not ask some friends for help? This list is empty! Oh, Alter. Geil.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
Ja.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You
Er
wouldn't
hat
mind
in der
taking a
Seele
look
weh.
at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas.
Voll
I
leise.
can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. So awful. Why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here?
Ich liebe den Narrator.
Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about,
Oh.
Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Jetzt hat der Minecraft Soundeffekt gehabt. Sag bitte nicht, dass es Pseudo-Minecraft-Welt, das wäre ja ziemlich geil.
Oh, no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly, block it off. Oh,
Wow.
goodness, Stanley, what a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing, that big, open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay. I
Das
think
ist cool.
this will be just the thing.
Oh.
Wonderful. So this is exactly what I had in mind.
Das
Just
ist
a
Rocket
nice big
League.
box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Das ist einfach
Okay,
Rocket
so what
League.
exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Geil. Wow, ich war aber schnell. Bam! Bam! Ich weiß gar nicht, in welchem Team ich bin. Egal. Gotta go fast! Oh.
Are you doing it?
Bam!
Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on?
Ja.
Hold on. What are you doing?
Oh.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Okay, das ist cool. That's damn cool. Aber einfach Rocket League. Ich will gar nicht wissen. Weil dafür müssen sie auch locker die Lizenz gekauft haben, kurz oder gefragt haben, ob sie das überhaupt dürfen und so, ne? Weil das war 100%ig Rocket League. Außerdem, die Atmosphäre hat sich einfach eiskalt geändert. Also wortwörtlich eiskalt. Where the fuck am I? Achso, da geht's gar nicht weiter. Gibt richtige Brotmoment-Vibes, ja. Einfach erst was richtig Fun und so, alter Knackerhumor. Plötzlich so, ja, war immer richtig deep, Alter. Ja, muss mal kurz Position wechseln. Beine schlafen irgendwann ein, wenn ich so sitze. Ist ja eh gerade nichts los. Also im Spiel mal nicht. So. Weiter geht's. Das ist schon crazy mit der ganzen Atmosphäre. Ach, komplett. Ah, Licht. Oh, wir sind hier im Office. Ah, 4-7. Upp.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Na, das ist das erste Ende.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Gehen wir mal links. Wir hören jetzt mal einfach auf ihn.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Do not alter without consulting whiteboard manager. Monday, weekly target admin. Marketing Mondays. Group for 40 times. Group 45 times the boxes. Okay. Legal, office efficient. Termination Tuesdays. IT debt. We're broke Wednesday. Financial panic meeting. Boss inspection. 8-bird. Pre-review of bei diesen Umfragen, wo immer drauf stand, auf welchen Charakter vor sich am meisten in Chapter 4, ich habe immer für Jahre abgestimmt. Ich wünschte, ich könnte meine Meinung ändern. Ja. Yep. So, Chapter 4 sage ich auch noch ordentlich was, sobald ich streamen kann. Tips for not getting fired. Talk less. Do unbelievably amazing work all the time, every day, with no expectation of promotion or recognition. How to solve a dispute with a coworker. Let it ball up inside you. Take it out passive-aggressively on other coworkers. Recent coworkers who are not supporting you anymore. Using slides to show employees having a score. Making sure your slide has a slick blue graphic in the header and throw some bevel on all the text. Everyone is unique. You most of all. Huh. Number of slides on this slide. Charts and slides. Rate at which charts on the same slide depiction the same information. Rate of increase in graphs per slide. Please no more charts, please, I'm begging. The boss appreciation method. On your boss appreciation method worksheet, circle to top 20 things you love most about your field. Specialist. What are your dreams for the future? Nature, talk radio, transcendent charts. Charts about hope, listen, metamorphosis, comatose, less air. Also, es geht da die ganze Zeit rum. Alrighty. Broom closet.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Ich sitze. Kurze Pause.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer
Because
me
of
some
reasons.
explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Because of reasons. Bitch.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. Probably because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or the drug money. Also, Stanley's addicted to drugs and hookers.
Alter, wie der auf ihm abgeht.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed in front of your screen. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your fabulous human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and fill them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Das ist gut. Aber wie er einfach ihn so richtig dumm und fett genannt hat, ey. Aber Chrissy. Aber Chrissy, ey. Wird er vom Narrator einfach fertig gemacht heute. Stand nicht auf seiner Bucketlist. Auf seiner Bingo-Karte, sagt man ja jetzt mittlerweile, ne? That was not on my bingo card. Ich bin gespannt, was jetzt noch so passiert. Wenn hier einfach stehen bleibt. Okay, scheint nichts weiter zu passieren.
Second player, it's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's one nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Ich lieb den Narrator jetzt schon, ey.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Jetzt gehe ich downstairs. Oh Gott! Warum ist auf einmal so dark?
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and...
Ich muss mal kurz sehen, das war jetzt versehen. Jetzt kommt die Tür ist abgeschlossen. Spielst du das Spiel zum ersten Mal oder hast du schon gespielt? Ich spiele es zum ersten Mal tatsächlich selber.
Now the voice was describing itself
being
considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Huh?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay. Zweites Ende. Ja, es ist Crazy Stan.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Schade, dass er nicht in der Yamchu-Pose war.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Das wäre lustig gewesen.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Nee, diesmal gehen wir nicht rein.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ooh, fancy. Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes. If the boss suffered losses, then that's what the boss chose. The fuck? Why? Why? Das ist wahrscheinlich das Office vom Boss. Was haben wir hier? Ein Aufzug. Oh. Aufzug. Och, die Operationen sind crazy gerade. Yeah, let's dance. Jetzt bin ich doch wieder hier. Gesetz sehr gebracht.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Auch wieder so ein Atmosphärenwechsel plötzlich.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Is this Poppy playtime? Deeper into the facility.
Through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Okay. Spaß, ich gehe weiter.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Huh.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
No!
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws.
Huh?
In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh? Okay. Stanley kann Samardo, wie es scheint.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Huh.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Okay, das wird unglaublich deep. Krass. Okay. The Two. Warte mal, lesen wir mal hier von vorne hier. Office layout. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the two doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. Corridor. The passing of this corridor section was important to get rid of to get right. So, this corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the two doors at a good time. Huh. The two doors. The set of two open doors, was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parables design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration to the contradiction this room posed. Filling Cabinets. Ich finde es auch komisch, dass wenn man interagiert, dass da... Du kannst nicht springen? Was? Ernsthaft jetzt? Wir haben es deaktiviert. Okay, cool. Trophäe. Was? Erhalte deine erste... Wow! Geil. Erhalte deine erste Trophäe. Warte mal. Das will ich mir jetzt mal angucken. Ihr könnt jetzt kurz nichts sehen. Das ist ja lustig. Beende das Spiel. Testtrophäe bitte ignorieren. Beschreibung der Testtrophäe, bitte Text einfügen. Schließe das Spiel und starte es dann erneut. Okay. Spiele das Stanley Parable einen ganzen Dienstag lang. Oh Gott. 8, okay. Klicke Tür 430 5-mal. Okay. In unter 4 Minuten 22 Sekunden ab ausschließlich Ladezeiten. Was für eine Einstellung ist alle Schieberegler auf alle verfügbaren Werte an. Spiele 10 Jahre lang nicht. Ah, was? 10 Jahre lang nicht spielen? Ach du Scheiße. Ey, wenn das echt eine Trophäe ist, die du wirklich so erst in 10 Jahren bekommst. Ach du Scheiße. Das wäre ja der beste Witz ever. Ich weiß nicht wieso, aber wenn ich diese Tür mit 1, 2 und 3 sehe, muss ich an den Dieter Bohlen-Film denken. Kann nicht nur ich sein, oder? Aus Computers. Whoop. Credits! Okay, also eine Art Hall of Fame. Boss Office. Das ist cool. Maintenance Room. Das ist schon cool. Narrator emails. What do the lights in the control room do? I really want to know. Montgomery Jones. Partner, I am Anthony Elias, business broker. Please partner with me in regarding a rewarding business venture. Details we sent to Hi, Mr. Narrator. I have a question for you, sir, and it is, what is your message for today? Sincerely, Harris. There's a skeleton inside of you. There's more smart than humans. Okay. Am I Stanley? Are you spying on me? I donate. Why? How? Will the game feature capybaras? How do you stay in shape? Michael the Rock Ja! Michael the Rock Martin ist klar. Was? Are you gay? Wow! Komm, so ein alter Witz. Ach du Kacke. As a work of art. Sequel creepers companion. Okay. Would a stand-up have infinite quests? How many endings? If the stand-up is really going to be, let me go shopping. I hope it will. Cameron. How do you make a JRPG? How do you make the worst game ever? What is the difference between a duck? How's the game going? I hope it's good. Better than the first one. From a cool man. The Rock? Are you a rock? Could you tell me what the significance of the number 111280 is? Well, the thing I want to know is, what would you do if Stanley entered any other rooms? For instance, on a scale of Max Ernst to Salvadori, how surreal would this game be? Were you born with a magnificent voice, or did you bug in with a recognition to receive? Wow, congratulations, congratulations. Ach du Scheiße. Greetings, omnipotent voice. Oh, I want to tell you, like a standing problem as much as more bad. Lasst mich doch lesen! How do you type with boxing gloves on? What do the lights in the control room do? Ah, so jetzt geht's wieder durch. Naja, gut. Oh, lustig. Ey! 3. Ach Leute, ist eine Scheibe vor. Stanley's office. From left to right, the evolution of Stanley's office over time. The first was created in November 2011, the second one in March 2012, third in 2013. Ach du Kacke. 2011, 2012 und 2013. Naja, wurde eigentlich nur mehr reingestellt, ne? Im Endeffekt. So how do I get out of here? Countdown desk. Huh. Was macht er? Okay. Dann lass mal raus.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Welche Tür war das? 430 fünfmal drücken. Ja, da, 430.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the trophy?
Ja.
Click a door 5 times? Is that all you think a trophy is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks? Now, suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks. No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this trophy to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley.
Jetzt kommt's.
I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way no matter the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Warte, was soll ich das jetzt hier machen? Okay, dann sagt er nichts. 417. Da.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Okay, das ist gut. 437, da.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Geil.
Now, back to door number 437.
Was macht man jetzt in dem Spiel? Du machst random Shit. Eigentlich so ziemlich so. Es ist halt so ein Spiel, so, wie gesagt,
Let's
so.
see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine?
Du machst einfach echt nur random Shit gerade. So, generell so. Du kannst verschiedene Enden machen, du kannst so richtig Deep Lore, du kannst einfach so richtig witzige Sachen haben und sowas alles. Ne, wie vorhin Broomclaw, so rein für die Trophäe, jetzt hier so.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
Na, komm schon. Komm schon.
Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
Das ist einfach wirklich nur so ein...
We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again!
Er fühlt es jetzt richtig, ey. Wo war der Kopierer nochmal? Da.
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today.
Ja, einfach nur random Bullshit go. Du hast halt in so einem ewigen Loop, kannst so viele verschiedene Enden so holen.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
So, mich interessiert jetzt tatsächlich mal.
Stepping into his manager's office,
Ich wollte eigentlich
Stanley
zum
was
Aufzug.
once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Loading.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
The plot thickens.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Hä? Achso.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Do I? Okay, that's pointless.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Yes!
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Dead. Hey.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Aber was ich mich frage, ist, ob sich nach jedem Ende irgendwie hier was tut.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either.
Also sprich, irgendwas verändert sich oder so.
Disbelief. Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Genau, was ich jetzt machen wollte. Ich wollte mal gucken, ob es beim Aufzug die Möglichkeit gibt, nach unten zu fahren. Aber man hier drin nur dancen kann. Super spannend, ne? Mein Gott, ja, wie es nach 1 Stunde und 3 Minuten tut. Ja, sehr schön. Ja, schon, dass du im Aufzug aber auch nichts machen kannst, außer das.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Okay. Trotzdem eingeben. Loading, loading, loading. Ja, gut, dass der Narrator war.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
In anderen Chapters war es schwerer, die Tapes zu finden. In Chapter 4 ist es schwer, den Recorder zu finden. Ich fand dieses eine Tape, was du während der letzten Chase da holen musst, ehrlich gesagt schon ein bisschen,
In someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley
Bye,
felt
suckers.
the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Beende das Spiel. Das heißt, das ist das wahre Ende, I guess. I don't know.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
New Content. Oh. Bevor wir aber da reingehen.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beauty. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Yeah, no.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see, we went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Einziger und Hallo Leute. I don't know. Muss ich mal schauen. Ernsthaft jetzt?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ach, guck mal, jetzt ist auch hier die New Content Door weg.
When Stanley... Wait.
Oh!
What? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Or did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Okay. Das ist ja die Standard-Story, so, aber wo Wo geht's durch? Hier so lang. Aber hier ist dieselbe. Hm. Hm. Wir gehen links.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this.
Oh.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Bei der Question Sonic Shadow Generations when? Wahrscheinlich erst irgendwann nächsten Monat oder so. Wenn überhaupt.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ich sehe schon.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Oh.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Das ist so gut gemacht.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Line trademarked. Oh. Oh.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
To destiny.
Thought, wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of itself? Wait. Hang on. Weird back there? Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Geil.
Wait, cut the music. Go back
Hey.
and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Okay. Cue the music.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Ey, ich liebe es.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Ja, danke, dass ich jetzt eben nicht reden darf, aber geht es nur mir so oder erinnert gerade so ein bisschen dieses Layout so ein bisschen an die Backrooms? Jetzt mal for real. Ist nicht gelb und alt, das ist weit davon entfernt, aber das Layout erinnert mich so hart an die Backrooms. Also like, come on. Waren das die Backrooms, bevor es die Backrooms gab? Oh Gott, das sind die Backrooms. Das wäre jetzt so ultra lustig.
Oh no, not you again. I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
Warte.
So now,
Deviate from main
schedule, I
tenant's
restart
room,
again?
end up on a
And what?
monitor room, narrator
Am I just
restarts
supposed to
game.
forget?
First restart.
Well, what if I
Discover
do
the
wanna
two
forget?
doors room now has
My
many,
mind goes
many
blank
additional doors.
simply
Aimless
because it's
wandering,
written
narrator
here on
restarts.
this
Second restart.
thing. Wall.
Dead end.
Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why
Try
don't
to
I
find
get
a
a
line
say in
again.
all of this? Is it really?
Find the confusion. Narrator restarts
No, it
game.
can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's
Forgets
going
about
on.
previous
I don't want to be
restarts.
trapped like this. I won't
Stanley attempts to
restart
play
the
story,
game. I
but it's
won't do
prevent
it. I won't
unable to
do
go
it.
anywhere
I
from anything. The
won't
game
do
starts
it.
on its own. Find the line
And the
again.
timer Stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
But... Say? Neuer Game-Titel Stanley in the Backrooms. Ganz ehrlich, das würde ich spielen. So Imagine, die Backrooms, dieses richtig krasse Horrorszenario und so all das, was man da so kennt heutzutage. Einfach mit Stanley und dem Narrator. Ganz ehrlich, würde ich spielen. Würde ich spielen. Da hätte ich hart Bock drauf.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, okay, jetzt wieder alles. Ja, doch. Ich wollte schon sagen, jetzt alles back to normal. Gehen wir mal New Content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Das ist jetzt Ultra Deluxe.
And thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Ich liebe auch die Stimme von dem Narrator.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Ooh! Yeah! Ich kann springen! No!
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the
Das war real.
I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such
Das war gerade so richtiger Front gegen Twitter, aber er war so richtig, das war, ist einfach so wahr.
And we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend? Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something. Oh. You don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares? Never mind. You're not a dork.
Schau, ich dachte, das geht jetzt so hin und her. Klatsch, tot.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Ooh.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Dafür, dass das ja nur so ein Indie-Game-Titel ist, I guess. Na okay, es sieht jetzt nicht so aus wie... ja gut, aber damn.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Allein, dass das Spiel fast 12 Jahre jetzt alt ist. Alter Verwalter. Crazy. Sind das hier die ganzen verschiedenen... Let's begin again. Huh. Ja, doch ein paar Enden sind da zu sehen. Also ich meine, ich werde so oder so noch nicht alle gefunden haben, so obviously, aber... Der US-Dollar. Moneten. Es ist so ein richtiges Mr. Krabs-Ding übrigens. Unachievables. Impossible to get this achievement. Go outside, don't play for 5 years. Wow. Ey, ich will, ganz ehrlich, ich finde diese Witz-Trophäen so, spiel das Spiel nicht für 5 Jahre oder 10 Jahre so, dann kriegst du dir so die Trophäe. Das finde ich ultra lustig. Ja, ja. 2013, ey.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
But it is a Devil May Cry, though. Oh. Okay, da geht's nicht lang. Mehr Aha. Einfach Minecraft? Das ist legit Minecraft? Lull. Dann müsste das doch bestimmt auch eine Referenz oder so. Ja, der Original Title Screen. Ich glaube Portal. Das kann sein, ja. War mir auch tatsächlich als erstes in Gedanken geschossen, aber ich kenne Portal halt nicht, also. Habe gehört, von vielen gehört, dass es echt gut sein soll. Person of the Year. For Scott K. Habe ich aber vorzuspielen. Ja, ich muss mal gucken, wenn es irgendwie für Konsolen verfügbar ist oder so, dann vielleicht auch mal, weil Poppy Playtime scheint sich ja auch sehr stark daran zu inspirieren. Was ja nicht mal schlecht ist. Auch ein sehr rätsellastiges Ding da.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation, boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise. These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Ooh.
Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Ist gerade auch so richtig wunderschön, Alter. Jetzt so richtig ekelhaft Industriegefühl, so, boah.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time. Oh, you're back, you see? You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations. Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking, and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear. Oh, hello. it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past.
That's creepy. Aber gut, jetzt hätte er endlich mal die Fresse. Jetzt, jetzt kann ich mal die Kommentare beschränken. Was hältst du eigentlich von der Omni-Hand? Sehr Iron Man-esque. Ich bin gespannt, ob die überhaupt noch einen Nutzen hat. Also, keine Ahnung. Also, ist okay. Habe ich nicht so viele Meinungen zu. Ist halt eine weitere Hand. Okay.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being.
Die Stille ist halt schon irgendwie ungewohnt, ja.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
He's going crazy.
End is never the end, 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 is never.
Oh. Oh shit. Hey. Licht. And still no exit. Cluck. Whoa. Suddenly, The Last of Us. Oder auf einmal Terminator. Ähm. Oh, wow. Oh. Ui. Ich hab's kaputt gemacht. Hi Leute, oder mir. Wie geht's? Wie steht's? Schön, dass du dabei bist. Gerade rechtzeitig, alles kaputt. Bäh. Ah. Oh, wieder da. Das ist ja krass, dass das durchstärker als ein Prototyp ist. Ist er?
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Er hat wieder was anderes gesagt. New content.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you. You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Ooh.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel, an entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
The end is never the end again. Ja, was kam zuerst? The end oder is never the end? The end is never the end, the end is never the end. Is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. Immer so weiter, ne? Investiture. Okay.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and long-term franchising potential.
New content is out. New content part 2 is in. New hotness. Boring sections of the chart. Cool red section of the chart. Old plus busted. They're back. 2 doors. First more TSP. Just the Stanley Parable 2 better. Stanley Parable. Win-win. Yeah! Sequential Mindshare 2. 1, 2. The Color Red. Leverage. Holo Crystal. 1 Liquid. Alles 2! Schon mit Kallax hier richtig schön modern und so alles, ne? Gott, abgeleitet, ist cool. PowerPoint. Jetzt 2 Stanleys!
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
New features. Oh, ein Bus.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
God damn. Your name in the game.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Haben wir einen Jim im Chat?
Jim.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Ich hol mal schnell Jim Carrey.
Oh there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
Jim.
Jim.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Free trophy. Pull the lever, receive your new trophy, no more steps. It just works.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the trophy. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the trophy will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the trophy is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Gib mir die Trophäe! Okay, ich habe Stanleys Nachname herausgefunden. Jim. Stanley Jim. God damn. It was a Jim all along.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Jump circle!
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
Ich will springen. Collectibles.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. You don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Geil. Collect them all.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Infinite Hole. Da bin ich hässlich. Ja, Chrissy. Schön, dass du es echt einsiehst. But that's what it takes to be infinite.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
Ja, ich fall mal ein bisschen.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top.
Oh, ist es etwa nicht infinite?
Sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Es ist einfach nicht infinite.
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Oh, und das sieht das, wenn ich so platt sind wie eine Flunder, ey. Aber ganz ehrlich, unendlich fallen stelle ich mir irgendwann schon ziemlich lustig vor. So am Anfang schreist du, bist total in Panik und so alles und dann so. Ist eigentlich gar nicht mal so schlecht. Also ich glaube, ganz ehrlich, ich glaube, das wird sogar Höhenangst und was weiß ich killen. Ich meine, okay, du musst irgendwann auch mal wieder rauskommen, so, aber ja.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much.
Oh.
A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have weird sort. Oh. The holes seem even shorter to you this time. I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become something where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my life. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is the, teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for.
No!
It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
No! Ich hab das Whole Ending. No! Was war das für ein Geräusch? Oh? Oh? Beat me down, Scotty. Son of a bitch. Oh, die Musik. So fett bin ich nicht. Sorry, so schwer. Genau, so schwer. Den habe ich auch gelesen. Change your perspective. Geil! Ey, ganz ehrlich, das als Gamecover? Chef's Kiss. Change your perception? Okay. Whoa. Change yourself? Oh. Jo.
Stanley? 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 Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there.
No.
Drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley. Because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole. And I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Lass mich in Ruhe. Ich will das genießen. Jack hat neues Thumbnail gefunden. Ja, aber das wird Thumbnail. Nein!
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Ich will mein Loch. Loch ist Loch. Gib mir mein Loch zurück. Mostly infinite hole. Another one bites dust. Ich möchte einlochen zumindest einmal. Chrissy, du hast ja eine Freundin oder so. Ich nicht. Nee. Ich will mein Loch. Gib mir mein Loch. Manu. Ich will wieder ins Loch rein. Saturday Prime, moin, schön, dass du da bist. Guten Abend. Ach, Mann. Ich will wieder in mein Loch. Er gibt mir keine Trophäe. Er gibt mir kaum Collectibles. Er gibt mir keine Sprünge. Jetzt hat er mir mein Loch genommen. Gott, das klingt so falsch.
Oh, goodness, Stanley, this is fairly awkward. I hate to do this, but before you leave, you really should go to the bucket exhibit. You see, there's a
My
surprise
Lord.
I was going to spring on you later, and it involves the bucket. And I really do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the bucket, okay? All right, I'll get out of your hair now.
Ich will mein Loch wieder haben. Gib mir mein Loch. Das ist Stanley Parable. So ein random Bullshit Go Game, basically.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration,
Loch, das
I've
Game.
engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Ich will mein Loch, du Arsch.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Ich will mein Loch.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Das.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
Jetzt frage ich mich, zu welchem Game-Genre dieses gehört. Das ist eigentlich nur ein Indie-Game, so. Das ist einfach nur random Bullshit Go. So, du kannst halt viele verschiedene Enden machen, du bist in einem Infinite Loop quasi.
No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Ne, also jede Entscheidung, die du hier triffst, du kannst halt einfach sagen, ey, guck mal, ich folge jetzt dem, was er sagt. Oder du sagst, nö, ich habe keinen Bock auf das, was er sagt, so. Nee, jetzt mal als Beispiel. Und das ist jetzt halt so quasi der neue Content. Das ist jetzt die Ultra Deluxe Edition, die ich spiele. Die hat neuen Content und jetzt zeigt uns der Narrator halt, jo, Stanley Parable 2 und nimmt mir mein Loch weg. Das liege immer noch falsch, aber I don't care. Merch. Müsste ja doppelt so viel Merch sein, wa? Ja. Ah, jetzt geht's auch weiter.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay.
Gib mir mein Loch wieder!
Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's...
Ein Loch!
Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags.
Zwei Löcher.
Very much enjoy
Zwei!
creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction,
Hast mich geraten, Auto
"This
Deluxe."
is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look. This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Jetzt auch noch mit den Ballons hier.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ich würde über ein Horror-Gameplay. Let's Play. Garden of Banban ist alles, aber ganz sicher kein Horror-Game. Da bist du an der falschen Adresse. Garden of Banban wird es bei mir niemals geben. Ich werde ganz sicher kein Geld für diesen Müll ausgeben.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Wo ist das Loch? I need the Loch! Und Poppy Playtime habe ich ja schon längst gespielt, also.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Nope.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Nee. Oder? Yeah. Poppy, kann ich ja nicht spielen. Wie denn?
and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Das ist doch jetzt auch bei Konsum rausgekommen. Nein, ich habe einmal den Fehler gemacht. Indem ich mal auf PC gemacht. Nicht so. Hä? Hä? Wann ist. Als ob. Das soll jetzt auf, auch schon auf Konsolen sein. Ich sehe jetzt mal ganz kurz den Live-Chat nicht. Ach so, ja, ich habe gerade geguckt, ich habe da nichts gefunden, wollte ich gerade sagen, aber redest von Garden of Banban. Ja, I don't care. Jetzt ja, was soll man nicht gegen Garden of Banban haben? Das braucht keine Erklärung. Guck dir das Spiel an. Das ist Erklärung genug.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Jetzt bin ich mal gespannt, ob die Bucket hilft.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Danke, dass du in den Trailer steht hast, aber ich weiß, dass es ja auf Konsolen ist so. But I don't give a damn.
On an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs.
Sind die Bildschirme größer geworden?
Had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly.
Was?
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Hä?
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Nix Bucket. Ich will das Loch.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door, and this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section walked straight ahead to the opposite door and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Das wieder.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Oh, hier ist wieder das Foto. So. Kurz was abgecheckt. Mehr Zeug gibt.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just...
The sequel ist noch paused. Ja, das ist dasselbe Ding wie vorhin oder so.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection between the two? Could a man love a room? I mean, truly, deeply, madly love. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Yay! Oh.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Huh?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Jetzt doch anders.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too majestic, like a combination of a much smaller version and a much larger version of this exact room. It all made Stanley uncomfortable, and he started to bleed a little. This made him smile. At last, proof that he was human. Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nope.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else...
Ach, guck mal, da ist ein Collectible tatsächlich.
...is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
Huh?
She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly...
I need a Fug.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something.
Ouch.
Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Das war persönlich, ja, aber richtig.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth.
War da nicht gerade ein...
Thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more...
Ich krieg langsam Platzangst.
The more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this. that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Oh, wow. Das bewegt sich wirklich.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply get to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Please, whoa!
And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Okay.
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
Okay, das ist jetzt maximal ungewohnt ohne den Narrator.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Nah.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself,
Oh, das ist anders als letztes Mal.
crazy. All of my co-workers blinking
Oder doch
mysteriously
nicht?
out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered.
Das ist aber auch wieder nur dasselbe. Scheint wohl nicht mehr so viel zu geben. Es sei denn, ich finde es halt einfach so gar nicht.
To go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. And here it was, the lounge. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ja, ich glaube, hier gibt es auch nicht mehr so viel. Also, ich wüsste jetzt auch rein theoretisch nicht, wo man noch lang könnte.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Nein.
Here's the door, just go. Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Okay.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horror...
Ja, ich glaube, so viel wird es jetzt auch nicht mehr geben. I guess. Also mir würde per se jetzt auch nicht so nichts einfallen. Wo man noch lang könnte, was man noch ändern könnte. Persönlich. Ja, jetzt halt nur die Frage. Also, ich habe halt Zeit noch. Ich weiß nicht, wie es bei euch so vom Gemütszustand her ist. Wollt ihr irgendwie, dass ich nochmal das Spiel wechsle, irgendwo was anderes spiele oder Schluss für heute? Na, ich weiß ja nicht, ob... ich denke mal, die meisten von euch werden morgen wieder los müssen. Midnight Cat kann noch. Oder die Mathe. Wie schaut's denn bei den anderen aus? Zeugnisferien, na. Die hatte ich auch mal vor Ewigkeiten. Ich denke mal, während ihr dann noch schreibt und überlegt, werde ich noch mal ganz kurz auf Toilette huschen. Geht ganz schnell und dann, ja, sehen wir uns gleich wieder. So, und da bin ich schon wieder. Oh Gott, sind die viel da? Ich war auch gerade zum Überlegen. Ich wüsste jetzt auch rein theoretisch gar nicht, was ich werde jetzt kurz nicht sehen, was ich jetzt überhaupt noch spielen sollte. Bei einiges müsste ich nebenbei noch installieren. Ich weiß gar nicht, was habe ich dann noch hier so alles. Was man noch so ein bisschen spielt. Weil rein theoretisch könnten wir Epic Mickey so noch ein bisschen spielen. Ich meine, natürlich kann man Poppy Playtime irgendwie noch machen, aber das hebe ich für ein andermal auf, wenn irgendwie kurz bevor Chapter 4 für Konsolen endlich ansteht, würde ich tatsächlich, glaube ich, nochmal alle Chapter irgendwie streamen. Würde ich behaupten. Und ansonsten habe ich auch nicht viel so. Cyberpunk würde ich jetzt, glaube ich, nicht noch irgendwie streamen. Da sind wir, glaube ich, die restliche Zeit nur mit Charaktererstellung beschäftigt. Braucht da immer sehr lang. Ja, sonst bietet nicht wirklich was an. Nicht mehr darf. Nein, ja, Five Nights at Freddy's. Nein. Gerade nicht so. Ich meine, Into the Pit hätte ich noch drauf. Aber, nö. Gerade nicht so Lust auf Five Nights at Freddy's, was das angeht. Nö. Da machen wir heute für heute erstmal einen Schlussstrich, ne? Ihr habt ja noch, falls ihr das Video noch nicht gesehen habt, die Ultra Magnus Review. Habe ich ja heute gepostet. Könnt ihr schön angucken, Like, Comment und so alles da lassen. Und ansonsten gucke ich mal, wann der nächste Livestream ist. Morgen nicht. Das weiß ich jetzt schon und möchte ich gerne den freien Tag genießen. Dienstag ist schwierig. Das ist eigentlich jeder Tag fast schwierig. Ja, muss ich mal gucken. Vielleicht Samstag, vielleicht Sonntag, nächste Woche dann nochmal. Und dann gucke ich auch mal, was wir dann noch streamen. Oder entweder geht's mit Epic Mickey weiter oder irgendwas anderes wird dann noch nebenbei angemacht. Ich habe auch noch das Dead Space Remake mir geholt. Das war auch bei bei PlayStation Plus verfügbar. Puh. Das könnte man ja rein theoretisch nochmal anzocken. Ein richtig schönes Oldschool-Horror-Game. Ansonsten muss ich schauen. Ne, vielleicht wird es auch mal eine kleine Streampause geben, was das angeht, weil also, wir haben nicht mehr eine Option, was das angeht. Ja. Würde ich erstmal so sagen. Aber gut, wenn es euch gefallen hat, natürlich Daumen nach oben da lassen. Abo nicht vergessen, falls ihr es noch nicht getan habt. Und natürlich die Glocke aktivieren, um nichts mehr zu verpassen. Und ansonsten sehen wir uns dann, denke ich mal, im Laufe der Tage oder so wieder live. Haltet Discord, Instagram und so alles im Auge. Da werde ich das dann ankündigen. Vielleicht auch, ich guck mal, dass ich auch nochmal vorher ankündige, dass da Leute auch gucken können, dass sie da Zeit haben oder was weiß ich so. Ne? Und jo, dann sehen wir uns das nächste Mal wieder. Ich wünsche euch noch einen schönen Restabend, eine gute Nacht oder je nachdem. Und dann bis zum nächsten Mal.